What's up, folks? Welcome to another Premodern video. It's been a while, but I finally qualified for the playoffs again. And what I'm going to be playing today is going to be a very interesting deck. This is the black-white control deck that I've been working on for a while now. I like to call it Playable DeadGuy Ale. And obviously, that's an inside joke. If you like DeadGuy Ale, go nuts, do your thing. But what this deck is trying to do, this is basically an Eternal Dragon deck. I tried to start from here, like the first two cards that I put into the deck were Eternal Dragon and Exalted Angel, and then I built the entire deck around it. So I'm trying to build a control deck which is base white, so I have like a bunch of planes that I can fetch with Eternal Dragon, and this is like a self-contained engine. And then after that, we have, our win conditions with Exalted Angel and Decree of Justice. And past that, we just have some very solid, good overall control cards. So we have Vindicate to destroy anything, literally. We have Swords to Plowshares and Wrath of God against creatures. We have Disenchant against, well, artifacts and enchantments. And then for cards that our opponent has in hand, we have 3 copies of Gerard's Verdict and 4 copies of Duress. We're rounding everything out with 2 copies of Phyrexian Furnace. This is basically main deck, cyber cards in our main deck, I mean. And the rest of the deck is 24 lands that just simply tap for mana. They tap for either white or black mana. And then 2 copies of Dust Bowl. This is going to be the way that we actually play into the late game. And what we have in the sideboard is an extra copy of Dust Bowl. I often end up sideboarding into 27 lands, particularly for stuff like Control Mirrors and matchups like that. And then we have Seal of Cleansing, Disenchant. I'm playing a split because against Dreadnought, you don't want to get caught with your pants down against Meddling Mage, of course. Couple of copies of Sacred Protection Red. This is obviously against the Goblins and Sly. And then a new card that I'm trying out here, Sacred Ground and Planar Birth. My idea here is that obviously the Armageddon decks are very popular these days. Stuff like, Great White, Oath Pollution, or however you want to call it, Green White Terra Oath. Those decks are very popular, and those decks eat this kind of control deck for breakfast, because this control deck is trying to specifically go long, right? Like you are trying to leverage your mana advantage and your card advantage, and the way that you do that is by you taking advantage of the fact that you have more lands than your opponent. When your opponent Armageddons you, you end up with no lands. So obviously your opponent is very likely to be able to take advantage of that situation. So Sacred Ground and Planar Birth are the 2 cards that were suggested. I was aware of Sacred Ground. This is a card that it's actually legally modern, so I knew it from there. And then Planar Birth is the card that I wasn't aware it existed, but it's actually very interesting. So both of them have some pretty different upsides and downsides. Sacred Ground, it's great because you can play it preemptively and it just sits there. There's nothing else that you need to do, and then you're blanking all of your opponent's Armageddons and stuff like Cataclysm, and even the if you're getting paired against the mono green version of the Terra board deck, same deal. And then Planar Birth is actually very different. So what Planar Birth can do, which is what I like, first of all, if you top deck it after the fact, like if your opponent Armageddons you and if you top deck Sacred Ground, you're going to be very sad. But if you top deck Planar Birth, you actually get to play the game. And again, like I'm building this deck with 18 basic lands, so like a bunch of them are going to be coming back whenever I Planar Birth. The other interesting thing is that when I'm going on a Dust Bowl game plan, where I'm just trying to Dust Bowl all of my opponent's lands, I can sack all of my basics and then eventually Planar Birth them back again to get a second round. So that is very interesting, and that makes me believe that I may want something like Planar Birth against like control decks or other matchups like that, even when there's no Armageddon. At least I want to give it a shot. Like I don't know how good this card is actually going to be, but I'm very excited to find out. The rest of the deck is Haunting Echoes, 2 copies of Infest. I've been very, very impressed by this card in particular. Against a deck like Goblins, Infest does a much better work than Engineer Plague, while Engineer Plague is the much better card against a deck like Elves. However, Engineer Plague plays into Naturalize, and this deck is built to blank my opponent's Naturalize effects, right? Like the only targets that I have main deck are the 2 Phyrexian Furnaces, and then post Cyborg, like sure, I guess they can Naturalize my Tormod Crypt or like my Seal of Cleansing or something like that, I don't know. Yeah, so by cutting down an Engineer Plague, I'm trying to make sure that I don't run into that. So Infest is a way to work around it. I was very impressed by the card, and I think it's much better against goblins specifically, so I wanted to give it a shot. Finally, some extra spot removals in Smother and Vendetta, the 4th copy of Gerard's Verdict, and a Singleton Tormod script. So that's what rounds out the deck. So excited to give it a shot. I'm very high on this deck. I think it's very, very strong. Obviously, I'm saying this and we're obviously going to lose round number 1. But no, but jokes aside, I'm very impressed by this deck. I've been playing it in paper as well, and I've been doing really well with it. So really excited to try it out in these playoffs, and yeah, I'll see you there. All right, here we go. This hand looks fine. So it's slow, but it is pretty robust. We have some decent mana, and we have, Vindicate, which is a fantastic card. So already moves to 6, and he is probably playing Gro-a-Tog. So my best draw would be probably Duress. Great basic choice. Fantastic basic choice. Okay, so we untap and we find Plains. So I'm gonna play a Plains and ship the turn back. He goes for the Mage. Let's see what he names. I'm assuming he's going to name Swords to Plowshares. Now we get to play a land. And we're gonna take a couple of hits. The question is going to be whether I want to play into Daze or not. I'm probably not going to, because I just don't have to. Although I could just slam it just to get it out of the way, and then I just Wrath of God if I want to. Oh, okay. Second Melee Mage. Well, I think I'm actually gonna... Oh, he named Vindicate. Okay. Plane Cycling, get my planes, untap, play a land, say go. So what we can do is we can just cycle Decree. So we're gonna take 4 this turn, then 4 the following turn, then we're gonna use it to cycle Decree, and then we can attempt to Wrath of God. Cast Sleight of Hand and for no value. I mean, I could Wrath here, and then this plays into Daze, which sucks, but then I just get to cycle Decree next turn. He foils instead. Okay, that's much better for me. So now I take 4. Next turn I cycle Decree, block the 1, naming Vindicate. Sure, so we draw Scrying, which is not the worst. So unless he's playing Stifle, this is gonna be pretty good for me. Cycle Decree of Justice. I'm not gonna play around main deck Swords to Plowshares. We make 2 dudes. I'm gonna double block the one naming Vindicate. This is going to unlock Vindicate from my hand, which means I get to Vindicate the swords, I assume. I guess I get to Vindicate 2 things. Yeah, I'm just gonna Vindicate the Melee Mage. Oh, it just dies? Okay, cool. I think I'm gonna take this chance to Vindicate the Plains as well. And then I guess we're going to Scrying for 4. Okay, so he slides a hand. Alternatively, I get back Dragon. I think I'm just gonna Scrying for 4. Definitely. So I think we just play a land and say go. And I'm gonna put a stop on his upkeep. If he fetches on my end step, I'm going to Scrying in response. But if he doesn't, I'm just going to Scrying for 4 and attempt to draw 4 cards. He does not have the counterspell. Yeah, we're looking really good now. We're in extremely good shape. So, whoops, yep, that's an Exalted Angel. Duress you to get things started. Oh, Island, Psychotog, double Crayon Dryad. Great. You'll love to see that. Yeah, I'm just going to play out this Exalted Angel and the Pyrex Furnace. I'm gonna activate it right now. I mean, that's the price of playing such a bad mana base, right? This Exalted Angel is going to make quick work of his life total while giving me a nice little buffer as well. The question now is, do I want to get back Dragon on my upkeep, or do I just want to cycle Decree? So we would be cycling Decree for 6. My opponent's going to be at 16. Yeah, I guess it's probably okay to just cycle Decree. Gets an island, probably Gushes Winter Orb. That's annoying. It's definitely like an annoying top deck for me, but like we're still in really, really good shape. We're still in very, very good shape. Also, I mean, there's a 4/5 lifelinker in play. Like, he's gonna need to hurry, really. He's gonna need to really hurry up. Yeah, so that's important. That is a card that does not give him the card he needs right now, and not only that, but also he uses a mana, right? Which is also a big deal. Chose to not shuffle, so whatever he has there is worth it to him. He draws the card. It's going to activate Furnace here. I think I Duress now. I think the Duress was a good draw, and I'm supposed to Duress here. What could he have drawn? Mox unlocks his hand, but like I still don't think I want to do that yet. So I think I just pass the turn back. Like, I think I'd rather use this Duress to make sure my Swords to Plowshares resolves. Seems like a much higher priority. Okay, yeah, there's the City of Brass. So he finally has mana. He plays the Crayon Dryad. Interesting that he chose to lead on that as opposed to playing Psychotog. Untap. Girard's Verdict is a good one. So we know he has Creon Dryad. We know he has Creon Dryad, Psychotog, and an unknown. So do I want to duress here? I think I do. I think I want to like attempt to just like get whatever, like take a look at his last card in hand. Okay, so I guess he does have a counterspell. Great, because he's taking a second to think about it. And this can only be in counterspell. Perfect. Yeah, and now we're just in incredibly good shape. This game is now over. I don't think he can come back. Packs it in. All right. So we're playing against Gro-a-Tog. Think I want Vendetta. I also want Haunting Echoes. And this is going to be one of those like planar birth / sacred ground matchups. Definitely want Smother. And I don't want the Disenchant. I guess he has Winter Orb that she showed me, so maybe like one Disenchant is fine. I do like Furnace, I do like Duresses, Vendetta, all of these cards sound great. I think I'm gonna go with Sacred Ground over Planar Birth. I have to expect him having Armageddon. Yeah, I think so. So I think I'm just gonna cut Disenchant. Not loving Dust Bowl, but it's fine. Verdict is great. What can I cut here? Maybe just cut the Vendetta, because I have some other already. Vendetta is really nice though. Maybe I cut the one Wrath. Man, all of my cards are so good. I think he probably has like one. So I'm just gonna cut Continent because he probably has like exactly one Armageddon anyway. Yeah, let's just hope that I get to just get the Armageddon. I'm not even gonna play around it. I did consider this also against Dreadnought because, you know, obviously if your opponent gets it's really hard to come back. So I'm just going to cut one Decree of Justice. Great hand. The question is going to be whether I want to play Duress this turn into a Daze or whether I'd rather just sit on it. But I think I'd rather sit on it because... No, actually, I can wait until turn 2. He moves to 5. Well, actually, no, I'm going to cast it now because like he moved to 5 and he's going to draw the card of Portent. So yeah, let's lead on Portent, on Duress, I mean. Fire Eyes, Peak... Swords to Plowshares. Don't care about Swords to Plowshares. I think I just care about the Fire and Ice here. Is that better than Peak? I think I'd rather take the Peak because it's more mana efficient for him. Whereas now he's going to Fire and Ice me on upkeep, which is going to be his entire turn, and then I just get to untap and duress him anyway. Oh, he just let me have it, huh? Interesting. So I know he has Fire and Ice, Swords to Plowshares. Yeah, I'm just gonna Girard's Verdict now. Maybe he drew a Daze, and that would suck, but if he didn't, this is so much better. Yeah, he discarded both cards that I knew about. He goes down to one card. Don't know what that card is, but I do have this Duress, though. If he just passes the turn, I'm gonna Vindicate his island. If he plays another land, I won't. Oh, he just Mox time. Interesting. Well, I'm gonna Vindicate the Mox now. Just mess with his mana. Just get my 2-for-1 trade. Play land, ship the turn back. Gonna be Cycling Dragon on his end step. Plane cycling, get a planes. It's a good draw. It's a really good draw. So I'm just going to Duress here, see what he's cooking with, just a Mox, and I'm just gonna play out the Morph. This opens me in theory to Fire and Ice, but he doesn't have Fire and Ice mana, so now we're just gonna flip the Angel. We're just gonna go to town, and he can still draw. What's his name? So we're not out of the woods quite yet. He can still draw Swords to Plowshares, so that Winter Orb into Swords to Plowshares, but yeah, he just backs it. Really great showing. Really great showing. Here we go for the second round against Lanny, and this hand looks good. We got some mana, we got some stuff to do, and we got a nice little curve, actually. Turn 1, Furnace. Turn 2, Cycle Dragon. Turn 3, Vindicate your land, potentially, depending on what... Oh, okay, so he's on Replenish. So we're gonna get paid off by the main deck for Action Furnaces. This is great. Love it. Attunement. So we're just gonna Vindicate the Ancient Tomb. Here's a Dragon Cycle. Vindicate the land. The Ancient Tomb, of course. This means he's not gonna be able to replenish me next turn unless he also has Mox and Soul Land is what he needs to replenish, which is possible. Second Ancient Tomb, alright. Keeps the turn back, so now another Vindicate would be great. Probably the best thing I can draw. I'd rather Exalted Angel here. We're still leaving Furnace up, and the alternative would be to Decree, but this puts a lot more pressure on my opponent. And if we draw land, I'm just gonna flip main phase. If we don't, I'm gonna flip afterwards because it doesn't. Okay, so we did draw something. Actually, let's think. So I can swing for 2 right now, and then if he does nothing, if he doesn't force my furnace, then I'm gonna get to decree for 2, which means next turn I flip and I'm gonna have 6 power, meaning he's gonna go from 16. And I'm gonna limit his Ancient Tomb activations. Otherwise, I swing for 4 here. He goes to 14, then down to 12. I think it's better for me to just swing for 2 here and just decree on his end step. If he forces me to activate Furnace, then this is gonna be worse for me. But as is, this is going to be better. If he forces me to crack Furnace, then one nice thing that I can do is I can just crack Furnace and then also... Oh. Okay, super rewarded, I guess. I get to activate Furnace, and also I get to scrying for 2, looking to draw potentially another Vindicate or like a Duress. I guess he's cracking on my end step because he's looking potentially for something like Intuition. Mox Diamond and Double Attunement were discarded. Stacked his triggers properly. Okay, so he did find Intuition, but I'm not super scared of this current setup. So this means we're gonna get to scrying for a couple of cards, just not terrible. Okay, so he intuitions for Wave and Double Opalescence. So this is interesting. So I can put the Wave in his hand. He's going to have an Opalescence for sure. Or I can just get the Opalescence instead. I think I'm gonna put the Wave in his hand, and then I can potentially Wrath his board. I'm just gonna put the So if I put the Opalescence in his hand, he can just wave everything away, I guess. Now, I'm just gonna put the wave in his hand. I think that's gonna be better. It forces him to use his mana awkwardly if he wants to actually assemble the combo city. So wave would be the worst case scenario. We probably lose to Parallax Wave. We can't beat that. I meant Tide, sorry. Frantic Search. That's bad for me. He just made a lot of white mana. Beating Parallax Wave and City of Traders. So as is, I can just crack Furnace. If he replenishes right now, I can just crack Furnace and then pop the wave, and then I just Opalescence, and I effectively counter his... I mean, he's gonna get 2 looks with Attunement, so it's not effectively just a counter, but Replenish. Yeah. So I think I'm just going to start with an Exile, and then I'm going to Exile targeting Parallax Wave, draw the Exalted Angel. We get that. I'm gonna use this turn to draw a couple of cards. He's cracking Attunement right now, which is interesting. If he does find a second Replenish, it's going to be really hard for me to win the game, though. So I kind of need to find a Duress. So this is a good spot for me to crack Scrying. To Scrying. I'm probably going to actually exile my own Eternal Dragon here, because I think it's really important for me to find... So I think this is like one of the very few situations where I'm willing to exile my own dragon, because I'm probably not going to have enough time to do more stuff. He goes down to 3 cards. I mean, there's also the potential of just taking it here. He's out of Swords to Plowshares, because I can take a hit from these Opalescences. So depending on what I draw, I can also just cycle Decree and use it to like get a little chump. It looks like he found a wave. That sucks for me. Oh, Frantic Search. So now Gerard's Verdict is actually a fantastic draw. Verdict actually clears his hand, which is cool. And he can't really tithe here, so that's good for me. He's also down to 8, funnily enough. Just passes the turn. So we're gonna scrying for 3 here. It exiles my dragon, but I think it's very important for me to look at as many cards as I can. There's the Verdict, which is a good draw. So we can Verdict into Wrath. I mean, all of this card is advantage, is if it's getting to a point where it's costing him, right? Okay, so he intuitions. So whatever he gets here, we can bin. So that's kind of nice. Yeah, it doesn't matter what we give him. It's just whatever. He got 2 Mox Diamonds just to get them out of his deck, which is good play. I think we just Wrath, and we just hope to dodge. So Replenish we can't beat, so we have to hope that he doesn't find a Replenish. But then we can just hardcast this Angel, and we can put him in a 2-turn clock. Another Scrying, 4, yeah. And I could Scrying again for 3, looking for a discard spell, and I think I want to do that. So let's just Scrying for 3, look at 3 new cards. We're looking for Gerard's Verdict. Okay, we didn't find it. It's fine. Ship the turn. Again, it doesn't matter what I draw here. What I play, I mean. Like, there's nothing that he can really do. if it's as long as it's not drawing Replenish. Like I think that's the only card that matters at this point. Because a Wave is probably not gonna cut it. Maybe I should have played out the Exalted Angel just to make Wave a little bit worse. No, he actually does not have a Parallax Wave in the graveyard. He also does not have, funnily enough, anything like a Seal of Cleansings. Oh, he actually cut Seal of Cleansing for his deck, I think. So I guess even Replenish doesn't save him here. He needs to find like Frantic Search into Replenish and discard a Wave. Because Tide could exile all my lands, but that's just about it. Yeah, so he does have Replenish. He's down to 2. Yeah, there's nothing I can do here, so just let it resolve. I do have a flyer here. He needs to find another Replenish, Mox, and another City of Traders. I think this Angel's just putting too much pressure. He discarded all his Worst Plowshares, so that one's not gonna cut it. Okay, beating some more cards. And the third attunement ability goes on the stack. It's gonna discard down to 2 cards. So I guess he actually doesn't have any combinations. Oh no, he can find exactly another City of Traders. If he finds exactly another City of Traders, discards a Wave, and finds Replenish, then we probably lose. But all of that stuff needs to happen. Oh, there's a Wave. Wave discarded. Are his last 2 cards Replenish and City? They're not. Okay, cool. Winning game 1 is kind of a big deal. So let's bring in Tormod Script, bring in Dust Bowl, let's bring in Haunting Echoes, of course, Girard's Verdict, and Disenchant. I don't want Wrath of God, even though it was randomly relevant that game. I don't think that's going to be the case. We have to watch out because Lani's strategy is to bring in his own Exalted Angels. So I do still want some number of Swords to Plowshares in my deck. Oh, Seal of Cleansing probably going to come in as well. Duresses are fantastic. I think I'm going to cut 1 Decree. Maybe 2 Decrees? I think I like Decrees, Exalted Angel better than Decrees. I think we go with this. I could see myself also cutting maybe a Plains. Yeah, let's cut a Plains, I guess, instead of Decree. I'm gonna need leaving 2 Swords to Plowshares. Actually, should I have Vendetta instead of Swords to Plowshares? No, because the Swords to Plowshares actually exiles the creatures for potential replenishes. So I think I want to go with this. I think Haunting Echoes is the big one. This is like the big game ender. Lani's saying he thinks he messed up his first intuition. I don't have no idea about that deck. So I tried playing Replenish once and it felt so crazy, like it's such a weird deck. It's possible he messed something up along the way. Okay, we have Furnace, we have Verdict. I like this. I like this hand. We also have Dust Bowl, which is kind of a banger. Okay, Swords to Plowshares, not great, but it's gonna be great if his game plan is indeed the Exalted Angel game plan. Yeah, Seal of Cleansing is bad for us. He's gonna get to pop it, give us no value. It is what it is. I do think we still Verdict here. I think I need to pressure his hand. Like I can't have him have access to a bunch of lands. Beating Swords to Plowshares waste. Okay, that's good. Gain 3 life for our trouble, and then we're gonna get to drop Exalted Angel this coming turn. Deep Analysis. That's a good one. I also have a decent one here. Really important to just put a lot of pressure on him as soon as I can. And I may blow up, just Dust Bowl, blow up his Darker Wastes, because I really don't want to face Parallax Tide. I may do that instead of morphing this Angel, honestly. Missed land drop. Love to see that. So we're definitely going to Dust Bowl here. So let's swing first, see if he does anything. And I'm going to play Dust Bowl and use it on his upkeep. Probably an Intuition here, if I had to guess, because he didn't flashback Deep Analysis, right? So that very strongly tells me that he's going to Intuition. So now that he has used his mana here, I'm going to just blow up the wastes right now. And once again, the reason to blow up the wastes is to limit him on colored mana. So I think I give him the wave. I give him the wave, and then I just blow up the waste. The Tide, sorry, I keep saying wave when I mean Parallax Tide. 3 mana to play his own morph. Okay, cool. So now, I think this is the turn where I flip my Angel. Now, actually, I'm just going to Dust Boulder land. So now we just bottleneck him on mana. Next turn I play Reflecting Pool and I just start swinging. And he may go ahead and plow my Angel now, because he discarded a plow earlier in the game. So he may have another Source to Plowshares. Looks like he doesn't have it. Well, now I'm feeling very happy about my spot. Yeah, I'm not gonna cast that. I'm just going to cycle Decree on his end step. This is going to... So I imagine he's going to swing. And if he attacks and I cycle Decree on his end step, that is going to mean that he is going to Like Ancient Tomb is no longer an option. Like I just blank Ancient Tomb as an out for him. So I think it's better to cycle Decree than to Girard's Verdict. Also, like I know that he's going to discard anyway, and like whatever he discards is going to be good for him. Locked it up. Black-White Control continues to overperform. Okay, round number 3 of these playoffs. As you can see, I finally back home, so we're back to a little bit better quality, I guess. This hand looks fantastic. Man, I love this deck so much. This deck is so freaking sweet. Opponent moves to 6. Okay, so we're playing against Fair, great player from Argentina. I was actually at his local game store over there this past week. Really, really cool store he has over there. And he's been really, really high on Gro-a-Tog. So I'm going to assume that that's what he's cooking with. He's also been doing really well with it. So he portents and gets his draw. The question here is whether I lead on... I think I'm going to pass the turn here, just like go swamp, pass the turn, play around days. He can kind of punish me if he goes Meddling Mage on Swords to Plowshares, but if he doesn't, then we're back to being on top. Second Skeletal Scrying is interesting. I think I don't want to allow him to use his mana efficiently here, so I'm not going to run into Counterspell. My goal for this game is to make his mana as awkward as possible the entirety of the game. I do have to watch out for Winter Orb and Armageddon specifically. My best draw would be Eternal Dragon, not Skeletal Scrying number 3. That one's not so great. Yeah, I think I'll just play out the Caves. We're probably gonna cycle this Decree for no tokens, just so I can get a card into the graveyard and look for land drop. So not a great play, but gotta do what we gotta do. We found the Swamp though. That's kind of nice. So I think we lead on to Res here. We can threaten to like Vindicate a land. Yeah, he does have the counterspell, unsurprisingly. I will be running into Gush, so I think I want to scrying for 2 here. We're running into Daze, but at least we play around another counterspell. I think he probably has the Daze at this point. Oh, he doesn't. Well, that's good for me. Not final land though. That part's not so good. If he has his main deck Armageddon, we're gonna be in a lot of trouble, but if he doesn't, then we're kind of cooking. Also, at this point, Meddling Mage is not that great, but if he gushes in... Oh, Winter Orb. It's kind of annoying. So really want to hit a land drop here. That one's not it. And if he has the Daze, we're just gonna get super blown out. He doesn't. Okay, so we play on. Really want to find some land drops. Oh, he's got Psychotog? Ay, ay, ay. Can we draw land? I have a lot of lands here. I think I'm just going to pitch a Skeletal Scrying. Swings with Tog. Probably gonna take it on the chin. Play it. Place out Dryad. Interesting. So I think I want to Duress this turn so I can play around. And now I can, if I draw a land, I can Wrath of God. I know he has nothing. He can, of course, like top deck the answer he's missing, right? But ooh, he's starting to beef up the Psychotog. Yeah, I think we YOLO. I don't think it's getting any better. So I'm just going to YOLO this Wrath of God. Try to get rid of both of these. If he has Daze, we lose the game on the spot. But okay, he hasn't. Alright, so we get to take a little bit of a breather here. And now it's going to be a slow grind trying to play off of this Winter Orb. And anytime he finds a Gush, we're probably super dead. So there's that little problem. Would love to hit in some land drops. Also, Fire and Ice kind of brutal under these circumstances. Still no land drop. Found Gush. That's brutal. Yep. That's super devastating, because it was the very last turn, right? He has Geddon too? Oh my god. Man, we have a bunch of lands in my deck, so that's one. That's not one. I discard this Decree. And the fact that he found his one of Armageddon and the Winter Orb is kind of brutal. If I'm not gonna draw land, Furnace is like, I guess, a fine thing to draw. It's gonna just hardcast Daze. Gross. I mean, at least it was a way to like use my mana under the orb, right? And to exchange with one of his cards that is going to be very, very good regardless. And we really have not been hitting enough land drops, considering I have 26 lands in this deck. I think I'm going to scrying for 1 because of how important hitting the land drop is. It's going to take a turn off the clock of Meddling Mage though, which is kind of awkward, but it is what it is. Scrying for 1, very sad. We did find a land though. Do I Girard's Verdict here? I don't think I do. I think it's going to be really important to blow up this Winter Orb for us to play this game. We see the difference, right? Like between when I play against Artie and he didn't find his orbs and Geddons in time, and here Fair actually did. So that's so good for him. So that this one probably names Vindicate. So I think I have to play a Morph creature. Alternatively, I can Girard's Verdict. If I Girard Verdict, I know that he has at least a land in hand. which is going to gain me some life. Because my fear here is that my opponent may have Fire Ice, right? So if I morph an Angel and then I just get Fire Iced, it's like it's an absolute disaster. But if I Verdict, then next turn I take 4. Yeah, I think I just have to play a Morph. This at least plays around Daze pretty nicely. Definitely going to pay for that Daze. It's brutal, but I have to do it. And then he foils. So no cards left, but I think we're good here. Like, I think we're just dead. Just don't have enough time. And now he found the Fire Ice. Yeah, okay. So we want Haunting Echoes. I think we want Seal of Cleansing. We want Smother, Gerard's Verdict. I think I want Planar Birth. Yeah, let's go for Sacred Ground instead. And what cards do I not like? The Wrath is kind of awkward. I think Decree is kind of medium. Don't like Vendetta. Cut down 1 Wrath. Maybe another Decree. I do like Exalted Angel. Don't think I want Dust Bowl. Yeah, I think I'm actually not going to play around Armageddon. Just cut the Wrath. Just have cheaper 1-for-1 removal instead. Gonna be on the play here. His hand looks very good. Let's keep this. Very strong opener. Clean curve. Very clean curve. Let's get rid of this Opt over here. Just make his mana very awkward. If he attempts to Mox, we just disenchant. And I'm hoping this Gerard's Verdict is gonna do a lot of work. If we find the second Verdict, I'm gonna be very happy about my spot. Definitely slamming this Verdict right now. Just put him in an awkward spot. Little Thoughtseize Bug action over there. Finds the Opt. He pitches Mox Diamond and Swords to Plowshares. So we still know 3 of the cards in his hand. City of Brass. Found Dryad. Bad for me, actually. So I think I have to run this Angel into the plow, unfortunately. I could just pass the turn and just hope that I find like a Duress. Yeah, so just plows, main phase. Where are my Eternal Dragons? Well, I guess I'm super punished, but that's okay. Verdict, and he has the counterspell. That's so bad for me. Man, this game, everything lined up the perfect. This whole match has lined up exactly as he wanted to. He has drawn exactly what he needed every single step of the way. Yeah, he just drew everything in the right order. I mean, I'm gonna Echoes here, but like it's not that good. So let's see what the rest of his deck is. He cut down on counter spells, or maybe he just doesn't play that many. So he still has Gushes, Dazes, Plague. He has a Plague? Oh, because of the tokens, makes sense. Cut down a Meddling Mage, still has Winter Orbs, still has the Geddon, Portent, Psychotog. So he still has a lot of business going on over here. In fact, he has multiple cards that probably win him the game on the spot, right? If he finds Geddon right here, we're gonna be super dead. He found Tog. We have no Wrath either, so we're just in very bad shape. Jesus, he found Gush? Yeah, there was no way I could win this game. He drew as perfect as could have been. He just drew everything in the best possible order. Yeah, there was nothing. I was just dead here. Yeah, he kept in cards in hand to pitch to. He probably found the foil. He has one of 2 foils. No, we're just going for lethal. I have nothing, so I'm just dead. All right, that was pretty brutal. Okay, made it all the way to the semis with Playable DeadGuy Ale. I've been very, very happy with this deck. I think it's a very strong archetype. I think it can do something that other control decks can't do, which is kind of like go over the top of all of them. And having access to this card, like, that's kind of like one of the good things about Psychotog, but at the same time, the bad thing about Psychotog is that the Psychotog deck is very, very good at, just like controlling the board between Duress and like counter magic and stuff like that. But its mana is kind of shaky because it wants to play Gush and things like that. And not only that, but also you kind of have to care about every single one of your opponent's cards. So, if you're playing against Psychotog, a card like Swords to Plowshares, which a deck like Lansdale just laughs at, you have to counter those too, right? Like your opponent can just sandbag a hand of like 3 or 4 Swords to Plowshares, and you need to use your counter magic with every single one of them, which makes it really problematic, right? Like, so it means that you need to care about answering every single one of your opponent's spells, which you can't really do, right? It's gonna get to a point where you will just like not find exactly what you need, right? This deck circumvents that by having access to, well, I mean, of course, a bunch of this card and like some 2-for-1s in Gerard's Verdict and Skeletor's Crying to recoup, which we saw in action multiple times. But also, if your opponent has a bunch of removal spells, you have Decree of Justice as a way to win the game. If they don't have removal spells because they were like, oh, I'm gonna discard the Swords of Plowshares to this Gerard Verdict, like this no big deal, and then you just use Exalted Angel. What we have seen though, like this card is the glue that holds the deck together. Like I really want to find room for the 4th copy because like the matches when you draw Eternal Dragon and the matches where you don't are very different. Like you are so much more comfortable. Like against Fair, for example, I found no Eternal Dragons in any one of the games, so I just was not hitting my land drops. I couldn't just go over the top of what he was doing, so he just very easily caught back up to me, right? But Eternal Dragon means that you're always hitting your land drop while you're also drawing another business card for turn, which is pretty strong. Obviously, a card like Armageddon, as I said in the beginning, is just not beatable. Like, you're just gonna lose to it. And like Planar Birth / Sacred Ground, I don't think these are going to be enough to make up for that. So this was kind of an experiment here, and I think it sort of failed, honestly. Especially if your opponent is going to be playing Armageddon out of a deck like Blue-White Dreadnought, or even a deck like Gro-a-Tog. You don't really want to have those cards against those decks, right? Like, they have like exactly one, maybe two cards, copies of that card. And then like if you draw this after the fact, like you're still going to be in a really awkward spot. So I don't think that against those decks it really does it. Definitely Sacred Ground, Planar Birth feel great against specifically the Terravore Armageddon decks, right? Like, you know, the decks with Nibelungus and like even the decks with Oath and you know, stuff like Oath Evolution, stuff like that. Like Sacred Ground, Planar Birth are going to be doing a lot of work in those scenarios. But yeah, here in the matchups that I did face, it was not, it just was not doable. But I'm really high on this deck. I think it's a very strong deck. I think it's probably the best control deck in the format, and extremely underexplored and underrepresented in consequence, right? So a lot of people need to catch up to the fact that this is a very playable deck and need to do some experimentation with it. Obviously, you know, this Infest versus Engineered Plague thing did not really come up because I didn't play against any deck against which I wanted these effects. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, I'm going to continue working on this deck because I find it very fun, and I also think that it's very strong. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button on the way out, and I'll see you in the next video, folks. Take care and bye-bye.